countdown. All right. Welcome, everybody. It is 7 o'clock Wednesday night. Time for Sci-Fi Distilled, although it's not sci-fi tonight.
No, it's not sci-fi. It's distilled.
We're just distilling.
We're just distilling. It's not
hey,
sci-fi.
Bill, your Bill's already here.
It's
Welcome.
Hi, Bill.
So we're doing Christmas Vacation, which is the
Christmas
third in the
Vacation.
vacation series from National Lampoon with, of course, the Griswolds, Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and the rotating children.
Yes, the rotating children, of which this particular pairing is my favorite.
Was a good one. Well, yeah, you had a pretty good good group there. Yeah, so two both went on to do bigger things,
great things. Yes.
Yep. So, hi Sue, how are you? But before we get into that, I think you have some news.
I have news. Information. I don't know if you guys. I am mentally already on Christmas vacation. I hope all of you guys are too. Oh, okay. We need to talk about this. The internet is ablaze. Everyone is freaking out. First came word from Patty Jenkins saying, yeah, it doesn't look like I'll be doing Wonder Woman 3. Then came word from Henry Cavill saying he is out as Superman. And just, I believe yesterday, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson confirmed there will be no Black Adam 2, at least not yet. Anyway, and people are freaking hard about it. James Gunn tweeted that he wanted to build a new DCU from the bottom up. I don't know if this means origin stories all over again. He specifically said he wanted to look at the earlier part of Superman's life. I don't know. What do you think, Rizzo? What do you guys think who are watching? I don't want to sit.
I'm just, the thing is, I'm just so not interested in DC Universe stuff to begin with. And it's fine if you are. I'm not dissing it in any way. It just doesn't really interest me that much. So, yeah, I mean, it is interesting that I'm wondering what's going on, when you hear these things, what's going on in reality, because,
what goes on?
Think, especially we're already saying Black Adam just literally released, a couple months ago?
October 21. Tonight is
December 21. So, they're already saying there's not going to be a second one.
Cameo in it, kids.
I mean, Henry Cavill, so he's not doing Superman. He's not doing The Witcher. What's he doing?
He's out at The Witcher.
So what's he doing?
He is doing what he did make an announcement the day after the Superman announcement. He said he will be doing Warhammer, which is another game.
Right. It's a game. Yeah, it's a game. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. Some fans, including my brother, was like, he's free to play Wolverine now, which was a really interesting take on it. Because I know Hugh Jackman's out as Wolverine, but I don't know, kids.
He's getting too old for it.
Henry or Hugh?
No, Hugh.
Hugh might be getting too old.
Yeah.
But kids, let's think about what James Gunn tweeted. He wants to look at an earlier part of Superman's life. Do we need to?
Well, like Sue's saying, that's what I was going to say too. We had Smallville.
We had Smallville. We had Lois and Clark. There's one on. There's one now.
True. Lois and Clark. Yeah, we've done it.
We've done it.
Really doesn't. Yeah, I don't know what they think, unless they're going to continue with this kind of darker.
Nothing
DC
yet
universe.
From Jason Momoa. He hasn't said anything. Nothing yet from Gal Gadot. She hasn't said anything. Although Patty said something. I don't. They never did.
They never did any more with. Well, I mean. Aquaman was
I believe, if I'm correct, and somebody out there may know better than I do, I believe there's another Aquaman film in the can, done, and heavy in post-production right now, deep in post-production. So I think there is supposed to be another Aquaman movie coming out.
The first one wasn't good.
No, the first one wasn't good.
It's just the problem with it is my opinion with Aquaman is it's like, even though they did the best I think they could, it's like to do actors underwater and acting. It just didn't work, and I don't know how to make that work. How do you do underwater scenes where they're literally supposed to
there's
be?
that. There's that. Here's the thing. Here's my take on it. I get maybe James Gunn wants to build from the bottom, build from scratch, build from the bottom up, but he's got money in some of these people. Henry is really loved. Gal, despite Wonder Woman 84 being a disaster, Gal is loved. No word from Ben Affleck, the Batfleck. No word from the Batfleck. What he's doing. He may be directing one. We don't know. No word from the world of the various Flashes. We don't know what the Flashes are doing.
No,
I don't know, man. I don't want to build up again.
It seems like DC is doing better. DC's doing better on TV shows than it is in films. Because
and interesting that James Gunn, that's Peacemaker.
A lot of the ones that seem to be popular. I mean, again, not into them. But what's the other one with the younger versions of superheroes? There's a new one coming out there with like Robin and that group.
Oh, what is that? I don't know. What is that?
Somebody knows. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Say it. Yeah. I don't know. You want to build the DC, because he doesn't want to do the DCEU anymore. He wants to keep. And then the other thing, they were like, see, he did.
Smokey Martin Titans is what I was thinking of.
Oh, Titans, yeah. James Gunn did Peacekeeper, and James Gunn did Suicide Squad. So they're like, are you just gonna keep your stuff and build all the rest fresh? What do you guys think? Should we start from the scratch, or should we just start with what we got?
I've kind of had it up to here with superhero movies. I don't know. I think the genre has kind of been played out a little bit.
Yeah,
personally.
The genre. I mean, after Civil War, after
Endgame.
Everyone was like, "Wow, that was great."
You were burned out because look at how many films. Look at how many films Marvel did to get up to that. I mean, they put how many films? It was like a
14? 24?
I mean, it was an insane amount of movies when you figure the hours and all of them were over 2 hours long. Yeah.
And now all those actors are kind of aging out of their roles, which is probably why we're moving on to the Young Avengers.
Yeah, now they're going into other things. I mean, I'll give Marvel credit in that sense that they seem to keep on top of things. As far as we've done this, now we're going to do this. But I just personally, and again, I've had it up to my eyebrows with superhero movies. It's just I'd like to see something else.
I'm always willing to watch some more, but James Gunn, we don't need to start from scratch, and I don't want to see Superman's origin story again. I just don't. Don't. I don't even want to see him as a teenager in high school. I don't care. I do not care. I don't want to see him meeting a young.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's kind of like when Star Trek keeps trying to go back to do prequel stuff.
Yeah, no prequel. No prequel.
Move forward.
I mean, unless you're doing like Enterprise kind of situation, though, but that was okay.
Well, that was to me that worked.
But that was like a whole time frame unto itself. It wasn't
right because there wasn't, and they had enough wiggle room with canon. They weren't bumping up against anything that they could. And I thought they did a pretty good job of fitting in, like the Romulan War that was discussed in Balance of Terror.
Yeah, they did
with how they were working it in. So anyway.
All right. Yeah, Bill says more good Star Trek, less superheroes. Let me keep going with the news. I do have other news this evening. Just this was like it seemed like every day something new.
There's some Avatar 2 news in here.
Oh, Avatar 2 news. Yeah, there is Avatar 2 news. The Avatar 2 news is Avatar 2 is out, and critics all say.
Yeah, that's what I've been getting. People that doesn't shock me. Doesn't shock me. I knew it was going to be meh. It's probably visually. I'm sure visually it's stunning.
Oh, I'm sure it's gorgeous.
I'm sure visually, because the first one was, I will give it that visuals were amazing in it, but story and it was just bleh.
Yeah. So in an effort to hide the meh, James Cameron quickly said, hey, I'm going to solve for you guys once and for all. Oh, first he said, hey guys, we really are thinking about doing the sequel to Arnold Robot. Old
Terminator?
One that he did. Terminator, thank you. He goes, yeah, we're going to do Terminator. And then he said... and then he goes, hey kids, guess what we're going to do? We're going to solve once and for all whether or not Jack could have fit on the door with Rose in Titanic, at the end of Titanic. and the internet, collectively yawned. No, that was for real. He's going to do it. Moving on. Moving on from James Cameron and his meh. The year that was, hey kids, 2022 is coming to a close. The year that was, the best of the best in 2022 for science fiction were Nope and Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I tried to watch last night. It's on Prime, but they still want you to, it's not rentable yet. You still got to pay for it. I wasn't ready to pay yet. So also on the list, Spiderhead, Jurassic World Dominion, which surprised me, Adam Project, which was cute, Moonfall, which was horrible, Crimes of the Future, and Prey. Avatar 2 not on the list, probably because it is too new. 2022, just for those of you who like to keep track of this kind of thing, this was supposed to be the year of Soylent Green, Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah. Fahrenheit 451's been done many times.
It's been done. No. This is the year it takes place in. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Soylent Green took place this year in 20. Fahrenheit 451 took place this year. Time Runner, some movie called Time Runner. I don't know what that is. It took place this year. The Tomorrow War, which just came out, it was that one with Jurassic World Dominion dude. That was supposed to take this year.
Oh, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, thank you. An animated Blade Runner short called Blackout 2022. And hey, George Jetson was born this year. If you guys like, okay, we did Love, Death, and Robots on this show. I think it's safe to say Rizzo and I are both fans of Love, Death, and Robots. If you like that kind of thing, I get thee over to something called Oats Studios. Oats like oatmeal, OATS. Oats Studio. This is from the same guy, and I will look up his name for you. Sorry, who did Chappie, District 9, Elysium, those movies. They all kind of have that look to them. It's only 8 episodes. It's an anthology, just like Love, Death, and Robots. And what makes it different is every single one shows an apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic like situation, and every single one of these things. And the first one stars Sigourney Weaver. It's already in progress, and you jump in, things are already underway. You look at like the most critical part of it, and then you leave before you find out what happened, and then you're done. You're on to the next one. And every single one will leave you going, wait, I gotta know what happened.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like, that sounds like it would be very irritating to watch.
No, it does sound like it would be irritating, but they're so good. They're so good, and they do leave you like, wait, but in like the best way. They're so good. I will straight up tell you, they lean horror, but I hate horror, and I loved these. They're so good. So if you're into the anthology thing, if you want to see some kind of fresh new excuse me, sci-fi ideas or sci-fi dystopia, apocalyptic kind of thing ideas, Oats Studios, it's so good. And finally, in the news tonight, well, 2 things in the news, actually, I should say, 1980s Flash Gordon, the director Mike Hodges has passed at age 90. Mike was best known for Flash Gordon and writing The Omen 2 Damien screenplay and a bunch of other stuff. But finally tonight, just released for the 2022 holiday season. It is on Amazon now, and I will give you a link if you want it. Christmas Vacation has been released in 4K. It is $19.99. Go get it now. What do we have to drink?
Well, before we get into that, because I have some stuff to talk about.
Oh, you have stuff to talk about.
Your long news thing there. I
didn't realize we were going to talk so much about Henry Cavill and stuff.
Well, it's. I just wanted to. Jeff was saying something about. We were talking about different shows, and he was talking about stars. I believe Disney is working on a show that is in the Old Republic.
Yes, they are.
So, and actually, there was a really good video game back. I think it was in the early 2000s called Knights of the Old Republic. Which was a really good video game, based on the same. Yeah, it was way before the Star Wars universe, main timeline. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out so that everybody knows that is coming. Yeah, we know Disney's kicking their butt with Star Wars stuff. So
Disney and Star Wars is leading the way right now.
Yeah. And so we do have a drink. It's very Christmassy. It's called the Candy Cane. So it's berry vodka, peppermint schnapps, white cream de cocoa. What do we got in there? And some grenadine, basically, and half or cream. And that's it. It's kind of a sweet. That's pretty sweet. And then you do a crushed candy cane for your rim of your glass.
Nice.
I'm thinking you only drink one of those, though. It's probably a little too sweet. But anyway,
probably,
go on, try it.
a little sweet. Sue, did you say there's a Thor special? No, the Christmas Vacation in 4K. Those of you who want to see every little detail of Clark's disaster, go on Amazon now, buy it. It's $19.99.
And I guys posted. You notice I posted one of the songs from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
You have Disney's Plus.
Let's talk about that.
Take an hour and watch.
Go
it's like
watch
5 minutes. Watch Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas.
This is the one I wanted to have a watch party for.
Yeah, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll love this. It's very funny and it's good. And the music is great.
Kevin Bacon is adorable.
For the most part, family friendly, and yeah, you'll like it. It's fun. They did a really good job with it. They got most of the main characters back, so to do it.
Yeah, everybody.
Anyway,
everyone has a little cameo in there.
So,
not Gamora. She's not in it.
She was in a flashbacky kind of a thing. I think.
Yeah, I guess she was in a flashback.
Yeah, but she wasn't.
But my girl Nebula is right there.
Well, actually, she's dead. Right? They never brought her back in Endgame.
No, they really did. So, yeah, they did.
No, I thought she was.
She's back, and he goes to be lovey-dovey. The other girl, the other version of her, is back.
Oh,
and he goes to be lovey-dovey, and she socks him.
Oh, right, because she doesn't know the history or something. Right. Anyway,
she's literally like, I date that. I'm in love with that. No.
Yeah. Anyway, watch it if you got it. Like I said, it's only about 45 minutes or so. So, anyway, 1989. I can't believe this movie is this old. It's over. What are we? 33 years old. I mean, I would have guessed it was late 90s.
40.
Yeah.
43 years now. Wow.
No.
Wait. Wait,
your math is a little off.
09, 1930. Okay, sorry.
33.
Oh, I got an extra 10 years in there.
Right, 33, 34. Something like that. I don't know. We can't do math. Math is not our thing.
This vacation.
Anyway, the closest. It was a long time ago. So yeah, it was to me it was the second best of the four.
See, to me, this
vacation movie. Mary Beth thinks it's the best. I love the original Vacation. I think that's still the funniest of the four. But this one kind of deviated. For one thing, it wasn't a vacation. They weren't going anywhere. They were staying home for.
Yeah, it did deviate. Didn't use the holiday road song. That's true.
Yeah, but Clark, of course, in his usual fashion, has to overdo everything, and of course, it ends up as a massive disaster. Which is the whole MO of the franchise, right? Is everything goes wrong for Clark, and he's just trying to do the best for his family. And when you think about it, the poor guy, never catches a break. I thought things that I think what people like about this movie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everybody sees some of their own family.
Absolutely.
And the Christmases that they have had.
Absolutely. My favorite character is Aunt Bethany. I'm forever quoting her. Why? Because I've got like 3 of those at home. Or I had over the years, 3 of those running around at home. I should say it. Is this the airport clock?
Yeah, but I mean, even like the part, I thought it was hysterical when he goes to put the lights up and he pulls out and it's this giant knotted ball. I mean, we've all been through that. It was a little exaggerated. But we've all been through this. The lights are always a big tangled mess.
And then they don't come on. Like actually, that scene of him not being able to get the lights on was actually very, very relatable in a lot of ways. Like there's always something that doesn't work. Oh, that's what
because it used to be the old days. The bulb, one bulb was out. They all went out. They fixed that many years ago. But
it's still kind of my tree is doing it right now. I've got one strand that's not on.
As long as one doesn't work, if they all doesn't work.
Here's the thing about Christmas Vacation why I think it's become the classic it has become. I was watching it and I was looking at it. I was looking at him decorate. I was looking at the food they made, the turkey and like the food they prepared, and I realized fundamentally Christmas hasn't changed. We kind of pull out the same decorations every year. I don't know a lot of people. I mean, you might add new ones over the years, but you pull out the same decorations. There's certain traditional foods, or at least my family has traditional foods that we eat every year.
Funny, we never do turkey on Thanksgiving.
No, we don't either.
On Christmas.
Wait, I got to time out. That's a thing with Dennis. In Canada, they do Thanksgiving, Christmas, and whatever comes, New Year's, Easter, turkey.
Really?
Everyone turkey.
Yeah, that's why we don't. Man, I've always asked them, like, because I always seen that as a traditional Christmas dinner.
No,
We saw it in the Christmas
is
Story.
beef. You have a nice piece of prime, or you
Yeah,
have
and Christmas is
candy
and I
fried
think it's my
roast or
family
something.
always said, well, we just had that. We just had turkey like
We just
a
had
month ago.
turkey.
Yeah,
And then by the time you get to Easter, no, you want ham.
ham.
Easter
Yeah,
is
no, actually, lamb is always a big Easter
or
for at
lamb.
least for Italians. I don't know. Well,
I'm Italian.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, getting back. So sorry, Dennis. It's a different food every holiday. But getting back, Christmas is so traditional. You do the same stuff every year, and there's Clark doing the same stuff every. That's why it's so relatable.
It is relatable because we all have very similar. Yeah,
watching
we all
them
have similar
trying to prep
traditions.
food is so relatable. It's
we all had the little, they have the Advent calendars, kind of their timeline.
The Advent to kind of keep the time.
Remember those
members that come over are so relatable.
But the thing, like even the little thing, like they showed it with the candle, with the little thing that spins, and the candles cause.
We had one of those
from the candle.
What are those called? The heat from the candle make it spin. What are those called, guys?
I don't know what it's called, but
we had one of those.
Like one of those and stuff. It just, I think the only thing that would have been funnier if the thing that cracked me too, when he goes to cut the tree down. Now, I only did that once, cut a live tree down, and it wasn't out in the middle of nowhere. We went to a tree farm that you would go out and do this. They'd give you a hacksaw, and you'd go find one out on their farmland somewhere, and then you cut it down. And they had a tractor that would kind of, they would mark it, and then tractor would come and drag it back, and they would net it up and put it in your car for you. But the funniest thing was when they said this thing's too big, and it was the same thing because we got this tree, and I'm like, oh, it looks fine, and you don't realize how big it is.
How big it is
outside in this, because it was in this field. There was nothing. I was wondering why there was this beautiful tree. Like, why is nobody taking this tree? It's such a nice tree. I'm like, we're the only ones. So I cut this thing down. Of course, I'm like laying in the snow. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. And we get it home, and it's like I had to cut this same thing. I had to cut the hell out of it.
Cut the bottom off. My mother did that every year. She'd get a tree, and my father and brother, it was their job to wrangle it into the house. And every year they're like, "Why did you get this ponderosa pine? Why did you get this sequoia?" And they'd be like dragging it in every year.
You always you always get Fraser firs. Because needles are the most robust.
They're less
they don't
likely.
drop.
Keep it watered. Yep.
And you keep it watered. They don't.
Well, let's not drink out of the water.
I've got to the point where the Lions Club in town here does a tree sale at the park, right? It's not even a quarter of a mile from my driveway. So I literally go. It takes me 10 minutes. I go. This one's good.
Yeah.
Throw in the truck. We're back home in 10 minutes. I'm like, we're good. So, and I've gotten smaller, skinnier.
Yeah,
smaller.
I did too.
I got away from it. But that aside, that was funny. But I think one of my memories, and it's funny because we always had a fake tree for many years as a kid. And we had to remember the trees. It came out of the box and all the branches were separate. And you had to have each row of branches had colors.
Yes. I still have one of those.
You had to sort through the colors and then hang each branch. To me,
that was all the orange ones and then all the brown ones.
I think that would have been, had they added that in somehow, that would have been funny.
And after a while, over the years, from taking the branches in and out, the color would wear off. So
you
get nail polish and you paint the little hook, right? So it had color, so you knew what row it was.
Yep. I remember we had the paper was still in the box that showed you the order, and it was like by the end, it was so tender.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? The paper had been folded up and put away.
So you know what color comes next?
Yeah.
Well, it says blue, but I think I used purple nail polish on the. Look for the purple one.
Yeah, it was just funny because you're sorting them all out on the living room floor, all these branches. So yeah, even fake trees now are even easier. I remember my mom has one that's
like an umbrella.
You pull it out. Yeah, just she's like, you pull it out of the box. It's done. The lights are on it and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's no fun. We still do. We do a live tree.
Like one row of lights is out, and I can't figure out why. And it's driving me crazy. But
maybe there's a fuse is bad. Yeah, they have little tiny fuses in the plugs.
I know they have little tiny fuses. No, I'm not gonna go through to figure out.
Buy a new string. They're cheap enough.
Oh Lord.
Anyway. No, I didn't have to bring a saw, Bill, because they provided the saw for you.
Ooh. Sue's talking about Lat Keys. I love Lat Keys. I'm a Lat Key fan. Sue, the Oats Studio, that's on Netflix. If you guys want to watch the Oats, there's only 8 episodes there. None of them are an hour. They're like 30 or 40 minutes. The first one stars Sigourney Weaver. Just jump in and watch.
I will put it on my list.
Jump in.
So other things, I'm trying to go through this movie from the beginning,
Oh yeah, I've got notes. I should
the other thing that cracked me up is when Well, again, that spoke to me. It was, you know, you got all the grandparents, because I remember at one point when I was real little, we'd go to my grandparents' house, which was tiny. It was a duplex in Brooklyn. It was brownstone, basically, in Brooklyn. And I don't know how we fit so many people into that little tiny place. My grandmother sleeping, God bless her, slept on an army cot. And I mean, it's literally a wooden army cot from like the Second World War. She used to sleep in the middle of the living room because that was like the only place left to sleep. So the poor woman, of course, she had to get up, you know, it's just really, but when they came to my house, it was the same thing where the kids had to sleep and we had to move, people had to move out of their bedrooms, and who was
shift.
It was like all messed up. Yeah, so that was kind of funny, you know, that again, these things, they nailed a lot of the things in the movie, I think, most of us had growing up, you know, had to deal with. But, you know, Clark, of course, and tries to overdo everything. And I thought, you know, the saucer scene was funny.
The saucer scene was funny. This movie, this is one of those movies that I watch every year, and we can go through all the scenes that we find funny because it's every single scene. But this movie kind of holds a special place in my heart because the opening scene of them driving out to get the tree is shot in Colorado, and it's shot, we think, on County Route 9, somewhere between like Silverthorne and either Heaney or Silverthorne and
Kremlin. Like they live in the Chicago area,
and they live in Chicago. But I know where this thing is, where those scenes were shot. And that's what it looks like. I've been out there. I know that area. That's what it looks like. And when you see the old Ford, the rusty old Ford come up, yeah, that's what it's like out there. So the opening scenes of this movie of them like
well, and then him kind of getting into a road rage thing with the guy in the pickup truck again goes right back to the first movie.
Yes, it does.
Trying to keep up. He's trying to keep up.
They didn't have Christy Brinkley in this thing, though.
Yeah, well, she's probably aging out by then. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. No, they brought her back.
Well, he did, but again, they brought back to that theme.
They brought her back, and
they went to the department store, and the girl's got the low cut dress, and he's like freaking out.
Yeah, and he's freaking out. Yeah.
So
it's a bit nipply out there.
It's a bit nipply. Why say nipply?
So yeah,
that's about as racy as this movie gets, though.
We'll talk about our favorite parts, which is all of them. Do you guys know there's ugly Christmas sweaters? And one says, "Why is the carpet wet, Todd?" And then you get the guys, the ugly Christmas sweater says, "I don't know, Margot." But what were you guys' go ahead and start typing in the chat. What were you guys' favorite parts?
Well, the most quotable from this movie is Shitter's Full.
Well, yeah, every line in this movie is so quotable.
I know, but that's the one I use the most because I have an RV
and just all of it, like every single thing. And I quote Aunt Bethany like all day, every day. Is Rusty still in the Navy, Clock? Like I love her, and I will probably end up being her someday, which is pretty sad when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess. They could do another movie. I mean, obviously Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo is still around. They could bring back as some kind of like they did with Christmas.
Just pick any two kids, you know, any of the kids.
Because that was a funny thing with each iteration of a vacation movie, the kids changed. So they like the actors changed.
Yeah. Getting back to your there's so many like little things that like go under the radar in this thing. Like getting back to the sledding scene, Cousin Eddie's talking about. He's like, this side is nothing but a piece of government.
It's plastic. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think
I should. And he's like,
every time she turned the microwave on, I lose my memory for a couple of days.
I forget who I was for like half an hour. And then he's like, I don't think I should be sliding down. And he's like, would it really matter, Eddie? And then did you guys notice like there's little things that happen like. They're in Wally World. They're shopping, and Eddie puts in dog food, and then Clark puts on light bulbs, and then Eddie dog food right on top of the light bulbs. And neither of them react to that. Like they just keep going, like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, it's like the dog. Apparently, what was the dog's name? Because it's Snots or something. He's feeding the dog
Old Roy, which is like. It's like beaks and hooves. Like
yeah, that's all he was grabbing tons of whatever dog food he had.
Whatever he could get.
But
and he's talking about how he lost all his money to the church guy or something.
Yeah, shouldn't have gave all that money.
What about the kids? Oh, they can fend for themselves. No, I mean your kids.
Eddie really is probably the best part of any of
Eddie
these
is what
movies.
makes it.
I mean, it's just from the first ones when he's when they're barbecuing and he doesn't have any actual hamburger. I don't know why they call it hamburger helper, Clark. It does just fine by itself. Poor Randy Quaid though, he always gets stuck playing the same guy.
Yeah,
in
like
every movie
Independence
he does.
Day,
He plays
he
the
was
dumb.
still Eddie, only slightly Eddie who
he
could
always,
fly. I mean,
yeah. He kind of always plays the same character, but I guess he's pulling a check. So if you're an
it is
actor,
what it is.
that's all you
All
care
right,
about.
let me look at my notes for this thing. Oh, so this is based on so John Hughes wrote that. We love John Hughes. He's done every cool thing. This was based on a short story called Christmas 59, which was a follow-up to Vacation 58. These were published in the 1980 issue of National Lampoon magazine. And so the studio, they had done National Lampoon's Vacation, and the studio came in and were begging for more, and so that's how it came. And when you see like Chevy Chase interviews and Beverly D'Angelo, they love doing this. Like, it sounds like they had a good time. Chevy thinks he spoke kindly of these in an interview that I watched, and he'd be like, "I think we need to do another one of these." Like, I think they actually enjoyed it. Director Christopher Columbus was initially attached to it, but he and Chevy didn't work out too great. So Columbus left and he was replaced by Chechik. It's okay. Columbus went off to do Home Alone. So it kind of worked out for everybody.
I think I get the impression just from other films that Chevys can be sometimes hard to work with.
That's the word that came out of Community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know what.
Yeah, and I know like him and like Bill Murray do not get along.
No,
they hate each other. Like, yeah. And that scene from Caddyshack was like the only time I think. Remember, they were on Saturday Night Live. They were the original primetime player. Not ready for primetime players.
Oh yeah, they were on SNL.
They were the original Saturday Night Live group. So when that show first aired,
that was back when. Do you remember when that was when? Not Bill Murray, the other one, Dan Aykroyd put the fish in the blender. That was a real fish in a real blender, and he blended it and then drank it. Oh, do you guys remember that? Bassomatic?
Yeah, we used to do all those ads. Super galactic prophylactic. Even bulletproof.
Oh my god.
Now I got to put the adult rating on this thing.
Put the adult rating on it.
That was some funny stuff.
That truck that I said, that's what they got out there in Grand County or Route County or where the hell they are.
That was actually Kurt Russell.
That truck had been used in a Kurt Russell movie called Overboard.
Overboard, yeah.
So much of the stuff. Why do I hear myself echoing back? So much of the stuff in this movie had already been used in like other movies. The house and the neighborhood, their house, and the next door house where Todd and Margot lived in the house from Lethal Weapon. It was Danny Glover's house in Lethal Weapon. Their house was something else. The house in the flashback movies was in Bewitched, maybe? One of the older ones. I wrote it down. I'll find it. So yeah, because they filmed like right on one of the studio lots. So of course they reuse that stuff over and over and over again. And yeah, the house has changed and they get repainted and things, but you'll find them all the time. Oh, and did you guys know in the scene that I quote all the time, when Lewis and Bethany arrive and she's going, "Is this the airport clock?" Supposedly a minor earthquake, like a little tremor hit, and you can supposedly see it shake in the finished cut. I look for that and look for that and look for that. I've never seen it. If anybody knows exactly where that is, let me know, because I'm Chevy Chase and you're not. Is that from Saturday Night Live?
That's from Saturday Night Live. It's when he used to do the news, the Weekend Update.
Oh,
but his really famous line was "Jane, you ignorant slut."
Jane, you ignorant slut. Yeah. Right. Now we really do need.
Yeah. So that was his probably most famous line from Saturday Night Live.
The squirrel. You guys want to hear the squirrel story? Do you guys want to hear the cat electrocution story?
Sure. Let's hear the cat electrocution story.
And then I'll tell you the squirrel story. The studio didn't like that scene. Studio was like, "You gotta dump the cat dying. That's gotta go. That's mean. We're not electrocuting no cat." So they ran it to our test audience, and the test audience came back. That was the funniest part of the movie.
Well, they didn't really show it. They just showed us.
They didn't show anything.
I mean, it wasn't like they actually I mean, they didn't kill the cat.
It just inferred. You just had to, you had to guess what happened by the little outline in the floor.
It was funny. I thought it was funny. I didn't really take it as being too cruel.
And then the
cats, if you've ever had a cat, they do that, and you wonder why they haven't
Why do they chew? Well, they should have had cords.
Who knows why they do what they do?
The squirrel story.
I mean, dogs do it too to some degree. I've had dogs that have chewed extension cords that were laid out in the yard.
Actually, Tilly chews cords.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's just something that it's the texture of them. I think it makes because it's something they can it gives.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I had my charging cable for my phone, and she's like, oh, good Lord. The squirrel story. So, squirrel. You hear that? It's a funny squeaking kind. Oh, you couldn't hear a dump truck in a nitroglycerin plant. This poor squirrel. So they had a trained squirrel, and they had been working with it. And, they work with these things on the sets so the animal knows its routine and knows what to do. And the day they came to shoot, everyone's standing around looking really sad. And the director walks up, like, hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, the squirrel died. He just died of natural causes. He just died. They're not long-lived squirrels. So they had to get another squirrel. Probably also a trained squirrel, but not trained for this particular, series of actions. They have to train the animal on what specific actions they want to do for that shot. Not trained. So whatever it did, they shot, and what you see is what you got. Luckily, I think it kind of worked out for them. I say that a lot. Why am I always saying it kind of worked out? But luckily, it kind of worked out for them. They got worked out.
Well, I'm sure there was quite a few takes, and then they edited it together.
I'm sure there was quite a few takes. But imagine cleaning up some of that in between, because the dog knew what he was doing. He was trained for all the action.
Right, to jump, to chase, and
jump get up on the table and jump off the table. You guys know how it's trashed. Yeah.
In typical fashion. Not as bad. The worst house trashing, I still think, was in 1941. But at the end, the whole house falls off the cliff. The movie 1941.
Oh, I have no
comedy,
idea.
Spielberg, and he's. All right, we're way off topic, but
it's gonna be one of those nights.
It was they had the anti-aircraft gun in their yard, and then they see the submarine out on the ocean. So the guy Ned Beatty's gonna shoot the sort, but he doesn't know how to work the thing, so he keeps the whole house gets blown apart.
I have zero memory.
And then at the very, it was on the edge of a cliff, and then at the end, after everything's over, he's like, I'm gonna nail this wreath because it's kind of a holiday movie, I guess, in signs of peace and everything, and he hits the nail on the door, what's left of it, and the whole house just starts sliding off the cliff and ends up trashed, gone.
Okay.
So, most house trashing.
More stories from the set of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Remember where he's beating the snot because it won't light, right? It won't light, and he's mad, and he's plugging in
there.
Do you really think I would have checked thousands of little bulbs?
Well, here's the thing. The funny part is, of course, the practicality person in me was like, wouldn't you have checked each? Because I always check each string, make sure it works.
Add the string.
Put it on anything. So he went and did all that with which cracks me up too. It's Chicago. They get a lot of weather, and he's putting lights
he's like staple gunning.
He's putting them on the roof, and I'm like, okay, if it snows, everything's going to be underneath.
That's going to be a mess. Yeah. No, he's not one for forethought. Well, he's beating the snot out of a plastic Santa, and he punched it, and he broke his finger.
Yeah.
Broke his pinky.
That's why he started
and didn't stop, didn't let on, didn't stop. The next thing he does is he kicks it. That's what he really did. He just kept going, and he kicks it, and he beats it. But the reason he shifted to beating it with his legs is because he had broken his finger. At the end, when at the very, very end of the movie, when the cops come in and they've got his boss and everything, the SWAT team of the cops freeze, and they all freeze, and Beverly Angelo has her hand on Sherry's crotch. She's like, I never in a million years thought they'd use that. We had done it 4, 5, 6 times. She goes, and never in a million years did I think they were going to use that take. Nope, that was the take they used.
Of course. Somebody in the edit room said, that's perfect. Keep it in there.
Keep it in there. That was the year. That year, it was this thing and Prancer that were released for Christmas with the 2 Christmas movies, both starring Johnny Galecki. So he had a great Christmas year.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize him until I was looking through the credits, and I'm like, oh, I didn't recognize him as a child. I And I know because he was
Johnny. Yeah, we knew Johnny.
He's done a bunch of stuff, obviously.
Johnny's done amazing because he was on Roseanne right after.
On Roseanne for a long. Yeah, that I knew.
Reasonably close after this, he did Roseanne, and then he was on the greatest sitcom ever made, Big Bang Theory. Well, arguably.
I would say Seinfeld's still better.
Oh, the show about nothing.
The show about nothing is still funnier.
At least I relate.
It's funny. We're talking about some of our Well, we don't want to talk about Big Bang. Some people find it of our ilk in the nerd community find it that they're making fun of. I don't see it that way.
I didn't see it that way.
A lot of people do see that it's just. And I'm thinking if you feel that way, then maybe you're having your own issues of guilt. Maybe you need to move out of mom's basement.
Maybe.
But I find all the sci-fi referencey stuff. I think they're on point with a lot of it. I think but again, I don't want to go down that road on tonight. Maybe we'll do Big Bang as another since that show has.
Getting back to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So you guys know what the Star Trek set tour is, and I've talked about the Christmas Story house is Real House in Cincinnati. Where the hell is the Christmas Story? I guess it's Cincinnati. Well, if for some bizarre reason you feel the need to see Cousin Eddie's RV, that can be found in Medina, Ohio. It's behind a store called Castle Noel. It's a Christmas museum, and it is in Medina, Ohio, and you can go see Cousin Eddie's RV. And also, there are several houses across the country that do a Christmas vacation, Christmas decoration theme. Like if you're one to like really decorate the front of your house for Christmas and put up lots of different lights and stuff, there's a couple houses and the winner has their version of the RV. It has everything. It has their version of the RV, Eddie dumping the toxic waste, the squirrel, the tree, like every scene is somehow represented in the front of their house. The one house even put up like a fake second story so they could have that attic window that he's looking out of. And the town kind of freaked and was like, no, you can't put up a fake second story on your house. You've got to take that down. No word yet if it's down or not. But, he has TVs around that like play clips from the movie.
Yeah.
It's like
people go crazy. I mean, it's amazing what people will do around this time of year just to put up displays. It's just, but whatever you're into, I guess. I know. I'm sure I love the part when he finally does get the lights working, and they show the meter,
and the
meter's just like spinning at like 100 miles an hour.
And you see the rest of the town go dark.
Oh, well, the guy hits the nuclear power plant explodes.
And you hear there's a warning, awooga, like
because it's like he browns out the whole city. That was pretty funny.
Which is like it's a punishable. Like I think if you actually do that for real, like they'll fine you or something. I don't know if you're pulling that much. I know people that have those really elaborate displays. They'll tell you how much their electric bill is for that. Like it's oh yeah, I'm sure. You think all these little lights don't draw that much, but when you add thousands of them, it adds up. So, oh yeah. I'm going to complain about National Grid real quick. National Grid like jacked our prices up, and
yeah, they did here too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we went up quite a bit
between that and the heating oil. Oh dear God.
Yeah.
Did you guys all recognize Bill Murray's brother as his boss?
Oh yeah.
He was in Caddyshack too. He's around. He's in a bunch.
Oh yeah, he's been in tons of stuff.
He's in tons of stuff. I actually really enjoy him. I think he's a great actor. I'm always happy to see him.
What the hell's his name? It's gonna drive me crazy because I have it right in front of me. But he's done a lot of stuff. He does a lot of voiceover work.
Yes, he does do a lot of voiceover work. So I can do actually now that we're talking about Brian Doyle Murray.
Yeah.
Brian Doyle. While we are sitting here talking about the cast, sort of, and we can kind of go through the cast. Let me actually do all roads because we have roads this week.
All right, do the roads.
We have actual roads. Where did I put the roads? The wife, the Brian Doyle Murray's the boss's Shirley's wife, Mrs. Shirley. She played Vice Admiral Alina Nechayev in Chain of Command and Descent, which is Next Gen. And then she was not Vice Admiral; she was an admiral by the time on Deep Space Nine in an episode called The Maquis. Sandy Lee Gimple, of all people. She was a Telosian in The Cage and the Menagerie. She's credited as doing stunts on this thing. Wouldn't she have been? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's really only 20, almost 30 years later. Well, 20 years later. So I guess she could have still been doing stunts. I guess. Miriam Flynn, Catherine, Eddie's wife, Catherine. She played the character is just called Midwife, has no name or anything, just Midwife in a Deep Space Nine episode called Covenant. Just kind of a random guy, Jeremy Roberts. He was a cop on the SWAT team. I could pick him out if you really need me to show him to you. He played Excelsior officer in Undiscovered Country. He played Meso Clan in Deep Space Nine episode called Hippocratic Oath. And he played Lieutenant Dimitri Valtane in a Voyager episode called Flashback. Tony Epper, one of the suits Chevy Chase is like, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss your ass. One of those suits that came wandering by, maybe the one that turns around and looks back. He played a drunken Klingon on the Deep Space Nine episode Apocalypse Rising. I said Sandy Gimbel did stunts, and also Leslie Hoffman. We know Leslie. She came to Trek Condoroga. She is credited as having done stunts on this movie. And Nicholas Guest, Todd. Why is the carpet wet, Todd? He was just some random cadet standing there in the crowd in search for Spock, and he did a whole bunch of voice work for a couple of the Star Trek video games. So we do actually, and if there's any other roads that I missed, guys, please let me know. We do actually have roads this week. We didn't have any roads last week.
No roads. Not everything leads, apparently.
Yeah.
Only there's a few roads that don't go to Star Trek.
Very few roads. And of course, there were the usual assortment of background, not background. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
special effects and artistic and music and all.
There's always those, and I imagine that pool in Hollywood isn't massive, so you're always going to have a lot of crossover.
You're always going to have a lot.
Talking about the main cast, of course, we talked about Chevy quite a bit. He's, started of course Saturday Night Live, and then of course he went on to a film career, movies like Fletch and gosh, what else has he done that was?
Well, the last thing was Community.
Community, of course, was the most recent thing. Caddyshack.
He was just around for a while.
Yeah. He had a bunch of stuff. He had done a bunch of movies that some were good, some were not so good. So, he's had his career, but we all know Chevy. We don't have to go too much. And then, of course, Beverly D'Angelo. She's been, of course, a staple again, along with Chevy throughout the series of films. And, of course, we see her in a bunch of other films. I think the most recent thing I want to say she did was Entourage on HBO. She played Babs. She worked with Ari Gold on, if you're familiar with the show. She was a talent agent.
I loved Ari Gold.
That was a really good show. That was a great show. The movie it wasn't that great, but the show itself was great.
She's done some TV since, like stuff like Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Yeah, she's around again.
She's around.
Juliette Lewis, of course, as a child, she has such a unique look to her. I mean, it was like as soon as you saw her, you picked her right out. You know who she was. I mean, as a kid, at least nowadays, you see her like, oh, that's Juliette Lewis.
I enjoy Juliette. I really do like her stuff.
She's good in the movies. I think she does well in the stuff that she's one of my favorite. And even though it was one of my favorite movies, even though she has a small part, was Old School. She was the I'm pretty sure she was the girlfriend that cheated on him in the beginning.
I'm just looking down her IMDb. Yeah, she's done a million things.
Yeah, so
and most recently she was in Yellow Jackets. She did Queer as Folk and she did Yellow Jackets. So she's been around. She does. Yeah. You say that about a lot of people, but she really is around. What was the movie? Was it like True Love? No, what was the name? True Lies? No, what that? No, wait, hang on, not True Lies. What was that movie where they're all shooting everybody? Everyone's getting
that was with
Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers, yeah.
Oh, yep. You know what she was in? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
That was Johnny Depp, really good one.
Is that Johnny Depp?
Yeah, no. That was Leonardo.
Oh.
If you guys haven't seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, watch it. It's so good. So good.
So, and of course, Johnny Galecki, we kind of talked about, of course, Roseanne and Big Bangers is, of course, his most well-known stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get into some older actors, of course, as the parents. John Randolph, we've seen him in a ton of stuff.
I was looking at him. I thought, well, surely he's done some Star Trek. No, he has not.
E.G. Marshall. And then, of course, Doris Roberts, if you ever watched for Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, Doris was in it.
He played the mother.
Here's the thing about Doris. Well, Two little things to note. First of all, Diane Ladd, who plays Chevy's mother, is only like 6 years older than Chevy. So she is kind of.
I think they made her look older. They
made her look
hair
older.
And stuff
She said I saw her on an interview, and she said she went in for the audition, and she was up against people like June Allison, like older women who and she was really intimidated. So she's like, well, okay, I'm going to try this. And so she went in and she walked right up. Chevy was there, and she walked right up to him. And did you notice when she comes in, she does this funny little thing where she plays with his face. And she's like, dude, you open the door, and she's putting her fingers in. She did that to him right then and there, and I guess it won her the part. But yeah, Doris Roberts, I love Doris Roberts. The woman played a battle axe in every single thing she played in. Like, she just played the battle axe, and you loved her for it. Like, you just absolutely adored her for it. She was awesome.
So anyway, so of course, Randy Quaid we talked about. Randy Quaid's Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid's Randy Quaid.
Always be Cousin Eddie. Always be Cousin Eddie. With the leisure suit and the white shoes.
Miriam's around. She does.
Miriam, we talked about. Yeah, she's in a bunch of stuff.
She does a bunch of voice work too.
Yeah. And that's pretty much rounds out. Of course, the other one, which of course is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who had a very small part for the most part. She was the neighbor as Margot. Why is it?
We need to mention, who we need to mention. Well, we need, and Nicholas Guest as her husband Todd.
Yeah.
The two we need to mention are William Hickey, who played Lewis, and Mae Questel. And we really need to mention Mae because Mae is Betty Boop. Mae played Betty Boop, and she also was the original Olive Oyl. There have been other Olive Oyls since, but she was the original Olive Oyl.
Now, did you bring up? I want to say, Sam McMurray, was he in? He seems like was in a Star Trek. I don't know why.
Let me look at Sam. Sam, I remember from the Tracy Ullman show. I don't know if he did.
I don't know why I feel like he was. Maybe I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not.
He's got that funny way of like talking, like he's chewing his words, and
it seems like he would be like in I don't know, like in a TNG type era.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything for him. But you know him immediately because not only does he has a look about him, but he's got a sound about him. He was on that 70s show. Still looking. A lot of voice work. There's Tracy Ullman work.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing any Star Trek. The Tick, he was on The Tick.
Well, maybe I'm just Chris. He just looks like he would be someone that would be in that. But anyway, sorry.
It's all good.
I digress.
It's all good. I gotta double check this stuff. Sometimes
I'm not swearing
I forget to check the movies. Like sometimes I'll check the TV shows and not the movies, and so
yeah. Well, you're getting back to William Hickey. He's one of those. He always plays kind of the same character. He has that voice.
Yeah,
kind of like and I think that's why he gets the parts that he gets. But usually it fits perfectly for his character, his acting. It's this.
Yeah.
One of the funnier ones that he's in again is another movie that is a kind of a sleeper movie, which was with Rick Moranis and
My Blue Heaven.
My Blue Heaven. Yeah. That's such a great movie. If you've never seen it, go out and rent My Blue Heaven with.
And he did Dr. Finkel. He did on Nightmare Before Christmas, the doctor that creates Sally. He played.
He does a ton of voiceover stuff.
He's around. He was in Pink Cadillac. Like he was around. Like
I just remember he was on an episode of Wings. Remember Wings?
Yeah, he was on Wings.
He was on an episode of Wings, and he kept wanting to go to Las Cruces.
Nice.
Like Las Cruces.
Because he's got that way of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another couple. Mae was 81 when they filmed this, and Bill Hickey was only like 60, 62, somewhere in there. Another kind of weird mismatched couple, but you buy it, right? Like,
you totally buy it. You can't tell when you get. I think when you get past a certain age, it's like you really can't tell people.
You can't tell. They're all old. They're all equally old. I hate to scare you, but we are rapidly approaching.
I know. Oh, I'm there. I hear you. I am there. So that pretty much, I think, rounds out the bulk of the.
That rounds out the cast. Oh Lord, it's getting late. That rounds out the cast. This movie is quoted and quoted and quoted. Like I quote this stupid thing all year long, not just at Christmas.
Well, you really wanted to do this one, so I was like,
I really did. I don't know what it is about this movie. This is a stupid movie. Like objectively, to look at this movie, you'd be like, "What? This is stupid."
Of course, they're all stupid. I mean, that's the whole point of the films. They're just kind of slapsticky.
Yourself laughing at it,
but they're slapsticky.
Despite yourself,
yeah,
you're
find
laughing at it.
Again, I think we laugh at it because we relate to it in a lot of ways. I think those of us that grew up, especially in the 70s and 80s, doing Christmas with the family, this kind of fit right in with all of what he considered, what he considered a traditional family Christmas was. And even the father, he has a kind of a heart-to-heart with the dad, and he says, "Dad, how did you do it? Every year was a disaster." And he goes, "I had help, but from Jack Daniels."
I had a lot of help from Jack Daniels.
So I love from Jack Daniels, which is true. A lot of us kind of
you don't realize like
substitute alcohol for
when you're a little kid and you've got Christmas stars in your eyes. You don't realize what the adults are doing.
I tell you, those of you guys that have kids know this, but once you go through that with the small children, Christmas Eve, making sure you got the toy they wanted, making sure the toy's put together, or try to get the battery, all that stuff. You start sympathizing with your parents because I went through it. I remember I did the same thing, putting stuff together in the garage, freezing my butt off because you didn't want her to, the kid to see what you were doing and that kind of thing. Because we used to do it like my parents would do it. Some of the toys would already be under the tree the next morning, set up and ready to play with, and that was the one Santa's brought you.
Yes.
So, but that was my dad had to do that, and the same thing as a dad. That's what I had to do. Is kind of
they all had to get
the Barbie stuff, How to put the Barbie stuff together.
And now you're an expert at the Barbie.
Yeah, no, not anymore. It's been a long time since I had to put Barbie stuff together.
My brother's baby's 2 months, so Mad Winter is not gonna. We're not there yet, and probably not next year. He'll be a year. But coming up soon, it'll be our turn to do all of that. Yeah.
So it's kind of like now, with my family is, there's only one baby now. We just had I have a great nephew that my niece just had a child about a year and a half ago, a son. So that's, of course, the only small child, and he's still too young to really know what the hell's going on. But it's just kind of nice being without having all the kid stuff going on. Not that's fun in its own right, and I'm sure if I ever get grandkids, I'll enjoy it. But
Martin's saying you wrap presents until 4 a.m. and then the kids wake up.
See, Martin, my family just stays up till about 2 o'clock in the morning because we just do. It has nothing to do with wrapping presents. Christmas Eve, like I think I've told you this.
We midnight.
It's really the bigger holiday for us because we, being Sicilian, we do the Feast of Seven Fishes. So it's a whole thing. It's a lot of eating Christmas Eve, and then of course at midnight we have to have meat because I guess you can have meat now because it's Lent is over. And so at midnight, sausages, and we start having Italian sausage, and I've added pastrami that I make onto that, tag that onto that tradition, and you've already eaten all, like you can't even begin to eat, but you eat again. So yeah, and then of course you get up the next morning. Yeah, it's right. Well, my parents were up till 2 o'clock in the morning, and then of course as kids we would get up at as soon as we possibly could get away with getting up. And of course, that's what you saw that in Christmas Story.
He
drank the night before, and he's like, he gets the bowling ball dropped in his lap.
Thank you, dear.
Oh, Simonized, thank you so much.
We do that. Oh, we do that. The Feast of the Seven Fishes too. But my mother was stressing out. She's like, "We only got 4 fishes this year." I'm like, "Ma, it's gonna have to do. I don't want it."
Yeah. No. We probably do more than 7. I
don't want any more.
Yeah, we definitely do. My brother-in-law has taken
them twice. That'll make 7.
My Polish-Irish brother-in-law has taken over the cooking duties Christmas Eve as far as that. He's like, but we do the traditional stuff. We do the calamari, we do the pupe, which is octopus. Yeah. We do a lot of those stuff. Some of
done that for years.
There was a lot of traditional stuff that we aren't left in the rear view on purpose, like the live eels we don't do. The bacala, which was the dried like it's like a
yeah, those
or
fish.
something.
I know those salty
It's
little.
dried. You have to like soak it for like days to get
I know those,
rehydrated.
yeah.
It's nasty.
Yeah,
we don't do that. You don't do that anymore.
We used to do herring. I remember doing herring and sour cream.
Yeah, they used to do sand shark was big. I don't, which isn't really shark. It's some kind of fish, but they call it sand shark. And I remember that was like popular. But
like a tilapia.
We've changed stuff. We do a lot of more. We still do the, like I said, we do the calamari, we do the poo-poo, which is really good actually. Which is why we kept it. And then we do like shrimp and scallops. And I think we
do shrimp and scallops.
Salmon. He does
usually like a cod or a scrod or a haddock.
Yeah, he has like salmon. So we do and then of course appetizers. We have like shrimp cocktail and
cocktail,
kinds of stuff.
That's what I told my mother. My brother's like, I'll make chowder. I'm like, Mom, we'll do one of the fishes twice. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We don't have salmon. I don't care. There's only like 4 of us. We can't eat all of this. Just stop. Just stop. Oh, and Sue's talking about Hanukkah's 8 crazy nights. Oh,
yes. Well, that's what Adam Sandler in the Hanukkah song.
8 crazy
nights.
Crazy nights. Jeff Rubal's commenting on Christmas Octopus, and Martin says, "I'm glad we're English because we don't do all of that."
Yeah, but you guys have stuff like all that weird things that you call pie and pudding, which is not either.
It's perfectly edible.
Yeah, but it's not either. Delicious. It's not pie or pudding.
Pudding is dessert. Just when you hear them say blah blah blah, we're gonna eat pudding, that means dessert.
But trust me, if you ever eat, you think it sounds weird, but the food is amazing.
Yes,
I really do look forward to Christmas Eve. We only do it once a year. It's a one-time shot.
Sue does not appreciate our.
No, most people when I say octopus, which they don't, but it's really actually
if it's
really
breaded
good and it's done. Well, the key, what we found is we sous vide it.
Oh, really? How's that come out?
You sous vide it and then you grill it.
Wait, that doesn't, and then you grill it. That doesn't make it more rubbery.
No, the sous vide tenderizes it. Slow cooking.
How does that work?
Anytime you slow cook, you get usually tenderizes meat. No, it's really good.
That work.
Trust me, it works.
Well, hi, Chris LaRoche. We're just about to end, my friend.
Now, Chris, you don't have any excuse to be late because you're not working anymore.
Yeah, you're retired now, Chris.
You get marks off for being late.
All right, kids.
So yeah, it is after 8 o'clock. We are taking next week off, guys, so you can get your break from us. And
we are off next week.
So we will see you in the new year. It'll be 2023, and we are going to come back.
We will see you all in 2023. Phil is off this week. Roy is tomorrow night, guys. If you want to watch Roy do Scrooged, it's tomorrow night, not Friday. Tomorrow night. What do we have when we come back in the year 2023?
We're doing the Apes, the 1970s Apes movies.
Starts in 68.
So we're going to do Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes,
Conquest,
Battle for the Battle of the Apes,
Beneath, Escape, Conquest.
No, Conquest,
Battle,
and then Beneath.
No,
Battle and yeah. You got them all. They all pretty much once you get past the first one, they drop off. So, but.
Battle. I just watched the one with their back on Earth. It was quite good. I actually favorite.
The Escape with
Escape.
That's the third one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Well, it's funny because, and I'll talk about this when we come back. But the thing with when having watched these now more in order, as a kid they used to be on like Saturday afternoons.
Yeah,
I never realized there was an order to them.
Yeah, no. It was chaos. Yes.
So now okay, this one leads to that one, that one leads to that one. Okay,
no. You're right. They would air them in whatever, and so you never.
So it didn't really make any sense as a kid, but
yes, Martin, it is the Albert Finney version of Scrooge tomorrow night, and I love Albert Finney. I adore him. So yes, Albert Finney Scrooge tomorrow night. Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi. It's at 7 or 7:30, probably 7:30.
Yeah. So. On that note, we'll say goodnight. Everybody have a great Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you're selling. Festivus.
Happy Hanukkah.
I'm going to get out the aluminum pole.
Festivus. A Festivus for the rest of us. And now the airing of grievances.
A lot of problem with you people.
I got a lot of problem with you people. And I'm not afraid to say it.
So, of course, have a safe New Year. Don't drink too much. I say that, but I always don't take my own advice. And we'll see you in 2023.
See you all next year.
Live long and prosper.